What is good, everybody, man? Welcome into the Bluebloods official podcast of FCS Football Central, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Saturday morning, as always, myself, my guy, Coach Fred, we open up another mailbag, man. We have some really, really good topics today. Another bold take to end the show. And Coach wants to introduce a new segment at the end of the show as well. So we'll get to that. We have a lot of good questions. It's been a little while since we've done a mailbag, Coach. We did our all-time FCS teams last week.
Yeah. My team won.
I don't know about that. I still got to put out the graphic. I got the graphic finished. I'll probably be going out Monday. Been busy with conference previews, team previews, positional rankings. All the American list is on its way. We'll be dropping in a week or two. Can't wait to hear the responses on that one, to say the least. That's always an interesting time of the year, Coach. Everyone thinks that their team should have 19 preseason All-Americans. It never works out like that. But, Coach, man, how we feeling on this Saturday morning?
Man, feeling absolutely great. Got the caramel macchiato on deck. Got the nub on deck. Got the keep or delete on deck. Ready to get
Oh, Lord.
into it.
Man, let's start here. This was submitted by someone. They said they wanted, we're going to ask the fans, our listeners, for their boldest takes on the FCS season, probably next week. Because they wanted ours, but they wanted specifically SWAC. So going through the SWAC, we have to make our own bold prediction for each team in the SWAC for 2024. Now, the rules are we can both preface this and saying this is a 10 on the scale. Like, bro, don't take what I'm saying seriously. This is just we're going left field, Valley undefeated, winning the national title. 2, it's a 1, and Jackson's going to beat, X, Y, and Z teams, Southern, Grambling, and Alcorn, or something like that. But, Coach, let's start here. Let's start let's start. I'll go from standings. Let's start with UAPB. Give me your bold take on the Golden Lions next year.
My bold take on them would be for them to get to 500.
God, they got a brutal schedule, right?
Right.
It's just, God, here's my dilemma with UAPB, Coach, and we're going to spend a little time talking about each of these teams. Is I really like Alonzo Hampton at
You
head
stated that.
coach.
You have stated that several
I'm a
times.
fan. I'm a fan. Listen, because you know how this is as a coach. Doing interviews is exhausting, especially that media day circuit.
Right.
Like and you worked under a guy, Coach McNair, not the media guy. Coach McNair probably dreaded media day every single year he was a head coach, and he's probably happy he doesn't have to go this year. Alonzo Hampton had more energy in his final interview than probably every single coach had in their first interview. And he was selling people on UAPB like they were voted preseason number 1 in the SWAC. And I love that energy because it's hard, coach, because you see this sometimes when coaches take jobs that come with the label of unwinnable situations. And you can tell by their energy, their body language, that they're not expecting to win. They're just hoping to do enough to get out of that situation.
Yeah. And uh, Arkansas Baptist, Tennessee State, Central Arkansas, us, Prairie View, Grambling, Valley, Jackson, A&M, Southern, Texas Southern to end it. Getting to 500 would be statue worthy for them. So I'm saying, yeah, that's my bold prediction. They finish the year at 500.
Oh God. I'm trying to come up with one. I would say just the bold of extremely bold prediction is that they upset Southern or Grambling on the road. One of the two.
Oh, that's bigger than mine.
Yeah, they're gonna catch somebody. Both of those teams, Grambling and Southern, come into the year with a lot of question marks. That Southern game is real late in the year. They're going to catch somebody. So I'm going with they're going to catch one of those two blue blood programs in the West. Coach, let's shift here to Texas Southern. Lots of question marks, man. Chris Dishman coming in at head coach. They return a quarterback. Jace had a really, really good year last year as a starter, but they just seemed to be like a step away from winning some key games. You lose to Jackson by 2. You collapse against UAPB to end the year. You let that Southern game get away from you. You blow a 21-point lead to FAMU. There was just a lot of missed opportunities for you, Coach. What's your bowl prediction for Texas Southern next season?
Man, bold. Um, my bold prediction is that they are in any of those contests the way they were last year. The competitive level that they showed, like you just said, I just think they lost too much. So my bold prediction is for them to be, if they get to be over a 3-win team next year. Uh, knock, nothing against them, but they just lost so much. They started so late in this process. I just, the first 3 games, first 4 games, that those could be really, really bad. And then they catch a break with Lynchburg. But for them to be able to get to a 3-4 win season, I think would be a bold prediction to stand up on.
I'm going the opposite. I'm going bold, bad prediction here. They go winless in SWAC play.
Okay. I said 3. Okay. You're okay.
That's my bold
And that's
prediction.
doable. And that's doable.
Because you look at they start out at Prairie View. What's that win streak at now? 9 or 10? Or I think it might be 8. It'll probably be 9 after this year. I believe it's 8 wins for Prairie View in a row in that season opening game. Then you get Rice on the road. Probably not a winnable game there. You get at Lamar, who was one of the, I guess, surprise
Up and
teams in
coming.
the Southland last year.
Yeah.
And
Up and
so
coming.
0-3 to start the year is probably most likely. And the watcher, we're talking about Texas Southern right now. Then you get Jackson, who's I think is going to be really good next year. You get Lynchburg, you'll beat them, but that's not a conference game. Then you get Southern and Grambling, a bye week in between those. Then you've got to go to FAM, to
Tough travel.
Alcorn,
Tough
just
travel.
2 back-to-back tough road games. Then you get Bethune-Cookman, who a lot of people think is a sleeper, and it kind of comes down to that road trip to UAPB, where last year you collapsed in the second half and just let that game get away from you.
Yep. We're talking about Texas Southern, and they always have that one where they show up like the 68 Jets. We always talk
That's
about
true.
that.
That's why
Uh,
it's bold. That's why I think it's bold, because they always find a way to catch somebody.
and hopefully it's not us again. But the last 2 years it's been us. But the way they've started the process, we all know that debacle in the spring, right into the hiring of Coach Dishman. I just think they lost so much, and it's going to take so much to get that program up and running, off the ground. Now, if they can catch one of these first 4 and turn it into a W, and they may be able to catch fire. But to catch one of the first 4, I don't see that one happening. I see
No.
0-4. I see 0-4.
Let's shift here to Valley. Coach, I'll kick this one off. I'm gonna break the meter. I just want to go out here. I feel like I've made 2 pretty mild, bold predictions. I'm ready to just blow. Like, it's not even a 10. This is a 15. All right. So hang with me. Valley has a player win SWAC Freshman of the Year.
Wow. Okay. Just like that.
Listen, I'm a huge, huge fan of their running back who redshirted last year. So he'd be a redshirt freshman, didn't play last year. So he would be eligible for the SWAC Freshman of the Year award. Listen, I had him on the show. Zamarian Kendall looks like a running back who could have success in the SWAC. The reason this is such a bold prediction, the offensive line for Valley has not historically been good enough for a running back to put up those numbers, but I think he's going to get a lot of touches. I think he's going to start the year off real strong in those out of conference games. And I think he's going to have enough to be in that conversation for SWAC Freshman of the Year next year. So that might be a 15 on a bold prediction meter, 1 out of 10. But I'm gonna go with Zamarian Kendall's a SWAC Freshman of the Year candidate.
Okay. That's gonna be tough to do with my bold prediction. Because my bold prediction, I have them going winless.
Oh,
UAPB is not gonna let that happen. What happened last year? If nobody else has a game circled in this conference, they have a game circled and they have that game circled.
because
So
they gave up 45 points to a team that averaged like 12 a game.
yeah, and it was really all second half. It unraveled, got away really really quick. Um, so my bowl prediction. Nothing against those guys over there. I know quite a few of those coaches, all that. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they go winless. I don't see a win unless they just happen to catch somebody, which is going to be a very very
Whew.
huge catch because they have some contests on the road that are really tough. You open up your first four on the
Yep.
road. Um, you might as well say your first five because we show up and we pack that stadium as if it's the reservation, and first six because then you go to Alabama State.
Yep.
So I'm saying it's going to be tough to find a win on this schedule. Uh, that's my bold prediction.
Mm. It's gonna make our interview next week kind of awkward now, but um, that's a tough one. That's a that's a tough prediction. Woo, I'm gonna let that one just sit. I'll offer we'll talk more about Valley next week. Oh gosh,
Hey,
we'll announce
no
our special guest
disrespect,
soon.
no
Well,
disrespect, but I'm just looking at the schedule. You tell me, chat.
I
Tell me, chat, where y'all see the win at?
I think UAPB is a winnable game, even on the road. I mean, I don't think that's a home atmosphere that you're gonna struggle to
Right?
win at. And then I got God, I know, and I love that. I love my guy, Coach Mile, and that staff and everything. But Alabama A&M last week of the season, is Maynard still there? As that
And
team packed it up and sold it in.
if Maynard's still there, then that means that they're doing fairly well. Um, if he's not there, then that means somebody else is taking a helm. And now you're right. It either goes one way or the other. They're either playing out their ass for this new guy, or they sacked it and packed it and ready to go home for Thanksgiving. So you're right on that front. I totally agree with you. Um, but again, that's the end of the year. Which team is trying to get home quicker is going to be the situation there.
The last time A&M went to Valley,
It was tough.
that it
That was
got beat.
that was a Thursday night game, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
that's just brutal. Let's go to Bethune-Cookman. Um, I don't know how bold I want to go with this one.
Well, the way they
Oh,
put that hype machine out there, I'm gonna step out there and say that they have a player win the offensive player of the year and the defensive player of the year award. The way they put that out there,
both.
so both they sweep. That's my
Okay.
bowl. That's my bowl. The way the hype machine, the way they put it out there, they got this quarterback that's supposed to be all world from I think he started at Oklahoma, um, ended up somewhere else.
Boy.
So that's
Uh,
that's my bold on them.
Mine's bold too. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know which one yet. Bethune Cookman's either beating Jackson at home for homecoming or beating Fam in the Classic. They're winning one of those two games.
I'm with it.
You could take a pick on which. They're going 1-1 in that 2-game stretch. I don't know which one I would personally go on a limb and pick right now, but just bold prediction, they're winning one of those games. And that would kind of lean into that sleeper role everyone's been plugging.
Mm.
Because if you're going to be a true sleeper, you got to pick off one of the two top dogs in your division.
And you get Jackson early.
Yeah, October
And
26th for homecoming. And then let's not forget, you can even throw a third game in there. Let's just say they win one of the three. You get Alabama State at home on the 28th,
mm,
early in the season.
which is going to be huge for the East race.
Yeah, you
If
get
if
two of
Bama
those.
State is what they're doing, what they say they are, That's one of those early tests that they've got to survive.
Yeah, all of those games are either at a neutral site, obviously, with the Florida Classic being in Orlando, and then you get Jackson and Bama State at home. No road trips in that 3-game stretch, man. That's super, super important. I think they get one of those games. That's one of my bold predictions for them. Because let's flip back to the West. We got Grambling State.
Mm. Let me pull their schedule up real quick.
Bold prediction. They finally let Alcorn get a win in the hole.
That's happening. That's gonna happen. It's just a matter of let me look at this schedule to see how bold I want to go. You know how I feel about them because they had a huge turnover in their within that program. Um, let's go bold, man. They get beat by Tuskegee in Grambling.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's early. The chemistry is not going to be there because I've told you when you bring in a lot of people and you only have them for a month before your first game, it's going to be tough. The chemistry, you go up the street to Louisiana, Raging Cajuns. If you get boat raced and you've been preaching X, Y, and Z and you go get boat raced and it doesn't look good, that next week when you come back, if Tuskegee has returned back to Tuskegee form and Tuskegee jumps out to a lead, that can get ugly quick. Bold prediction.
Dude. Whew, listen, I I'm trying to be nice. If Mickey Joseph loses to Tuskegee week 2, fire him. Just fire him. Like 2 games into his tenure, I don't care. Fire the whole staff. You can't lose to Tuskegee. Coach, last year
I
they
get it.
lost 58-3 to a bad A&M team last year.
Yeah. I get it.
Oh God.
I get it. But you got to remember now, Tuskegee is one of those programs that if I'm the head coach, we ain't scared of nobody, but it does us no good to go play them or them come play us. So let's just stay off their schedule. Have we not seen it enough in the Turkey Day Classic when they were the opponent? I would go out on a limb and say that's why they're no longer the opponent.
Oh my God. Yeah, fire everybody if you lose to Tuskegee week 2. You know, it's hard to come up with a bold prediction for them just because there's so many new players coming in and
Mm-hmm.
excuse me. It's really not a game on the schedule that I don't know what a bold prediction would be because I don't know how bold this would be. But coach, I don't know if you know this. I was kind of looking at the Bayou Classic history coming into the show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that they have lost 5 of the last 6 to Southern?
No, I can't say that I didn't know that.
I think Southern extends the streak.
That's
Give me Southern. I think Southern makes it 3 in a row over Grambling and 6 out of the last 7 in the Bayou Classic.
I could go with that.
It's not a very bold prediction, but that's what I'm going with. I really don't see anything else that'd be super bold with them. I'll go with Southern here, though. Oh man, coach, and it's a little tongue-in-cheek action here. Southern finds a quarterback, and they're an all-conference quarterback.
Mm. Mm. That's bold.
That's very bold based on the quarterback play over the past few years.
And knowing now that it's going to be a new guy again this year, that's a bold one. I will go out on a limb with a bold one that Terrence Graves will be the coach of the year in the conference.
Oh God. Okay.
That's bold, but I'm stepping out there on that one.
That is extremely, extremely bold. Let's go, PV. This is Oh God, this is an interesting one, and I kind of want to go a direction with it, even though I've already made my pick for the West. My really bold prediction is PV breaks through in the SWAC championship game.
That's bold, Blue. That's bold. That's bold.
Yeah,
They break through.
it's a dangerous prediction, but that I mean, because the opposite prediction is PV finishes in the bottom two in the West.
Well, that was gonna be
Yeah,
my my bowl. You just took my bowl. I was gonna say they were gonna
go
finish
ahead. You
in
can
the
still have it.
I was gonna say they were either gonna finish bottom or tied for next to last uh in the conference.
Coach, you're gonna be on a hype video by the end of this segment. You're gonna be on a PV hype
Nah.
video by the end of this segment. Reese got a bold prediction here for A&M. He said A&M beats Auburn by 3.
I don't know if that's bold or just wishful thinking there, Reese.
Ooh, I don't know. Let's go there. Alabama A&M. I've kind of made my bold prediction throughout the summer, right? Where I think Maynard's gone before the Magic City Classic.
Yes. Yes. You have I'm trying to pull theirs up, but my bold prediction would be that he lasts the whole year. So I guess it's kind of down the same lines of yours.
Yeah.
Uh,
It just comes down to, right? Because you think they got Auburn. That's probably an L, unless you're Reese. You probably beat Kentucky State, Georgetown College. But
if you
then,
lose either one of those, it's
oh,
over.
yeah, it's a wrap. Close the book. Austin P on the road, Fam on the road, Jackson in Mobile, and then you got the sleeper Bethune-Cookman coming for homecoming.
It could be over there. If he loses to Cookman, um,
Agree.
that could be a wrap. That could be a curtain call.
Yeah, because that's what 2-4 at that, or
Yep.
no 2-5 at that
Two
point,
and five. 2 and 5.
going into the Magic City. And if he gets to the Magic City, loses that, and falls to 2-6, it's over. There's no coming back from that.
I can see a struggle. I can see a struggle. Um, lose to Cookman, and then I can hear the administration saying that they wanted to make a change heading into the classic to change the momentum, something like that. You know, that would be their out on that situation. So
Yeah,
uh, losing to Cookman, I think it'd be a curtain call.
Alcorn State. How bold do you want to get with your team, Coach?
Hey, hold on. I got the thing up, man. Somebody said their bold prediction for A&M
Yeah.
is what they use storage racks. So
Oh God.
oh man, that's funny. Bold prediction for us, man. It's not really bold, but you know, we we go into Grambling and we win that,
That was
and
mine.
we get that monkey off of our back, and we play for the SWAC championship for the eighth time in 10 years. So yeah, that's my bold prediction for us as I sip my macchiato.
Yeah, my bold prediction was you finally get a win in the hole. Um,
Oh yeah, the SWAC championship will be on campus. Ain't no doubt about that.
when do you know when the last win in the hole was? I think G said it was like 05.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, I think it was 05 or 06 is what G said. I could be wrong or somewhere around there, but like you said, it's early 2000s, like when myself was still in elementary school.
Early
It's been a
2000s.
long time. It's been a long time. Coach, let's
Early
go.
2000s.
The last three going to be very interesting here. You got the three big dogs in the East. Bama State, Jackson fam. Let's start with Bama State. What's your bold prediction for Bama State?
They go 5-6.
Oh my God. Oh Jesus. I didn't know we were going there. Okay. Oh God.
They finished below 500.
So I'm assuming that means you think y'all are gonna get that win in Mobile.
Was deaf. I just, you know how I feel about the hype machine, and it's tough. It's tough to carry that pressure week in and week out. And I think that's what, they really have to be careful of. And I hope they don't figure that out until after what week is that? So whatever after they play us. So,
The 2nd, November 2nd.
November 2nd. Yeah, they figure that out. By then it's too late. But those things weigh heavy, bro. And I just think that if the Orange Blossom Classic does not go right, even though it's MEAC, I think you have a potential for the wheels to fall off.
Okay.
So I guess that's my other bold prediction.
See, I went the other way. I think the bold prediction, even though I still don't know who I'm picking that week 1 game with Central, I think Bama State picks up 2 massive out of conference wins. They beat Central and get the win on the road at Sanford to start
Early
the season.
on.
3-0 to start the year.
3-0.
Because obviously I hoping if they lose to Miles, it's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, then it gets really, really sticky.
Now, that's what Reese says. Reese says they're going to lose to another D2 school.
And Miles is not scared of them. So
No, Miles beat them last year, right?
Yeah. And Miles should have beat UAPB. They got a extra point block. So Miles is not scared of the conference. They're not scared of the conference at all. Mm-hmm. So, that's not one that they're going to back down from.
Ooh, let's go Jackson here. I'll start this one off, Coach, because mine's – I don't even know. Okay, so I'll give you 2. I think they beat ULM week 1. They get the first SWAC FBS win since 1985, I think. And the other bold prediction is Jacoby and Morgan wins SWAC Offensive Player of the Year.
I didn't hear you after you said Jacoby when you went out.
Oh, I said Jacoby and Morgan wins SWAC Offensive Player of the Year.
It's going to be tough.
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be tough. That's why it's bold prediction time.
And I doubt it's bold.
These aren't official predictions. These are just bold predictions.
No. I was just saying that's gonna be tough because remember I got Cookman sweeping those awards. So
that'd be tough for you. Has the SWAC ever done co-offensive player of the year?
Not to my recent knowledge, no.
I know the MVFC did last year, which was crazy. And they gave it to people on the same team. They gave it to Isaiah Davis and Mark Gronowski at South Dakota State.
That's weird. My bold prediction for them, the folks up the street, man, that I mean it would be unfathomable, but they go winless. But they got some wins on their schedule. But November 23rd, bold prediction is they get beat by 21.
Oh, on the reservation?
November 23rd.
I like it. I like it. 21 plus for Alcorn State on the reservation to end the season. Coach Fam you to round it off. Oh God. This one's tough. This one's tough because there's so many unknowns here. Go ahead.
You want me to start
I'll let you kick it.
Okay, I'll start it. For me, Sam turns into the 2000 Ravens. They can't score, but they stop people from scoring. So they lose quite a few games by a score less.
Oh God. Okay. Someone kind of called me out in the chat on it because I have said that a few times as my bold prediction. I think their home win streak ends against South Carolina State week 1.
Early. Okay.
That's a real bold prediction just because South Carolina State has a bunch of unknowns. But I will say I do think the home winning streak ends this year.
Yo,
That would be my
I
official
absolutely,
prediction.
I absolutely go with you on that one.
Someone's catching them at home. I don't know who it may be, but I do think they get caught. They get caught sleeping at the house.
Oh
And
yeah,
also,
I agree.
I will say though, if I had to make another one, I do think Junior Meritovich is a candidate for SWAC Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
I do like him.
Let's see. We got South Carolina State,
A&M,
A&M,
Southern,
Southern at the house,
Texas Southern, and
Texas
Valley.
Southern, Homecoming, and Valley.
So that's a bold prediction to say they're going to lose one of those home games because it's kind of a joke of a home schedule.
Yeah, it's not really a strong ticket sale getter.
If I had to put money on it, I think it's Southern or South Carolina State is probably your best.
Comes early. Yes.
Yeah, chances to get caught.
Comes early. Yep, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, but my prediction for the SWAC as a whole, though, I like the bowl prediction. I think the Soul Bowl happens in back-to-back weeks.
I do too. I just didn't want to say it.
That would be my bold prediction just for like the general
On the
conferences.
reservation.
I think Alcorn Jackson plays twice.
On the reservation.
I won't make it a pronostication on that, but I do think that game happens twice. Before we get to the SWAC out of conference games, let's hit this topic. So on Twitter, we asked for questions, and you guys did a great job of submitting some good ones. We might not get to all of these today, but we are going to make some of these featured topics in an upcoming episode. But we were asked, Coach, by Last Play SDSU, they represent South Dakota State, obviously. He asked, what chance do you give the homeless cows in North Dakota State to cover the spread versus the other homeless cows, Colorado? The current spread is -8.5 for the Buffs. Are you taking that spread, Coach?
I'm taking that. I might even tease it up just a little bit because I think they're going to cover it, but I might even tease that thing up to 10. But yeah, I'm definitely going to take that one.
Yeah, I've been vocal that I think it's going to be an extremely close game. And if you're giving me 8.5 points on top of that,
got to take it.
I feel really, really good about that. I mean, Coach, you got a team, and I get it. So I've tried my best to stay out of it just because it aggravates me sometimes listening to people who don't talk about stuff with logic and film and stuff. Some of the takes I've heard on this game have been absurd.
Give me a couple.
Shutout win for Colorado. 45-point win, 30-point win, 4 touchdowns that Colorado would never lose to an FCS school. And the narrative. Oh, and then I heard that North Dakota State didn't have any athletes, that they're all slow.
Oh, even
and
better.
The best one was North Dakota State would not even have beaten the 2022 Jackson State team under Prime. And so what makes you think that they could beat this Colorado team?
I hate it because you can't go back and you always have those debates. But I gotta believe that they come to Jackson and they put on a good show.
Yes. I'm sorry.
I gotta believe that. I gotta believe that.
Bro, Davius Richard carved the defense up like nothing else, they would have run for 400 yards, and it really wouldn't have been close.
I got to believe that if they would have came and had a great showing.
Yeah, that's just. I don't care if I don't care if I don't care if it was played in Jackson. I don't care if they went and played it on the battleship in the middle of the ocean like they did that basketball game. It don't matter where you play it. It wasn't happening. But coach, everyone just acts like North Dakota State with a first year head, not even a first year head coach. Like he just came back to North Dakota State. He was the offensive coordinator when they won like 6 national titles.
Mm-hmm.
They returned 9 all conference players, coach. Of most of them on defense in the front 7, and they have arguably the best safety in the FCS and Cole Wisniewski. Logan Kopp comes back at linebacker. Dylan Hendricks is back. Defensive tackle Eli Mostert is back. Cam Miller is back.
Have more. I think they have more to play for as well.
Yeah.
I think that chip is on their shoulder. I think within that building, if it's not already up, the posters with Coach Prime saying what he said, while he was at Jackson, I think that's plastered all through that building. And I think this is a game for them. In their minds, this is a game for them to show, like, we for real too. So I think they have, or will come out with the chip on their shoulder saying that they have more to play for. So I think it's going to be a real test for this new Vamp CU team. Again, this is another team that's brought in a whole bunch of other people than what they had on the roster last year. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people giving takes on this, looking at the FCS FBS moniker, and I don't think they get it. I really don't think they get it. And I said this, listen, coach, and we got to do a topic on this. Did you see like the EA Sports College Football 25 rankings for the teams?
No. I text you about that, man, because I'm like, do I need to upgrade my system? I asked, I was like, will I be able to get the college football game for my PS4? And then I guess I might have offended you because you were like, you never responded back. So,
oh no, I must have missed it. But no, I think it's only on PS5 and the next gen consoles.
So I got to get a PS5?
Yeah. I got the Xbox, Series X or whatever, like the new next gen Xbox. Like I bought it during COVID because you know how it was during COVID, coach. I was in
Kansas.
Nothing to do. I'm gonna go buy me one. Let me go spend some money. So I'm good. But yeah, I think you got to upgrade that system. But coach, they gave Colorado like a top 15 defense in the country.
They have names, no doubt about it. But I don't know. Again, and coach has proven time and time again, they could be there today and be gone tomorrow. So, who on that defense is going to really be there by the time they get to that game? How in tune with that system are they going to really be when they get to that game? And he said it himself several times this offseason, they have a problem with discipline. Who's going to be the team to make the least amount of mistakes mentally? Not physically, but mentally. And again, I think North Dakota State comes out there with a chip on their shoulder with something to prove. They probably got that up there already, top 15 defense. And, they're going to come out there with something to prove.
Coach, listen, I get it because I do this. Like when we pick our upsets on the preview episodes, I always start getting nervous right before just because I know it's hard to go out on a limb and pick an upset like this.
Right.
But I've watched too much FCS football to not believe that North Dakota State has a shot. Coach, I'll watch them dominate a top 15 Iowa team on the road, and it looked like North Dakota State was the better team at every position. I'll watch them go into Kansas State under Bill Snyder and beat a top 25 Kansas State team by like 20.
Yeah, and nothing against Colorado, but that game you're talking about last year, we're talking about an established. I don't. how do I put this tactfully? At that stage during that game, Iowa was a much more stable program than Colorado is building to
Yeah,
be right now,
sure.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's
I
kind of why I'm like you. I don't know how anybody would say that that program doesn't have an opportunity or has no chance to win that game.
yeah. I see this in the chat. I'm not doing my pick till me and Coach do the preview the week of the game, but I'm taking North Dakota State plus 8.5 all day, every day. I think it's a one score game. I don't
I'm
I just
teasing
don't
it up to
see.
10.
Yeah, like if it goes up to 10, take the points for sure. I think this is going to be a really good game. I'll be like Coach, like I agree, Shador Sanders is an elite quarterback, but the, let's just be honest. North Dakota State has a better tight end room. North Dakota State has more proven running backs. North Dakota State has the more proven offensive line.
And the biggest issue.
Give Colorado wide receivers. That's fine. I'm cool with that because North Dakota State isn't really proven there. North Dakota State has the more proven defensive line.
Which is going to be the problem because the biggest question mark for Colorado is their offensive line.
Yep.
So, again, I think the checks and balances, when you put it up on the game and you know how they have the check for that team with that depart, they have a check for that team. I think NDSU has a lot of checks up there.
Yeah. I do too. This isn't just your normal FCS FBS game, but I do agree. The reason that I'm hesitant is because I do think Shador has that it factor. If he gets to Tom, like the dude can be lethal, and I'm not going to take anything away from his game, but I think North Dakota State has more advantages than people are giving them credit for. So yes, will NDSU cover the spread versus Colorado? I say yes. Getting back to the question at hand, Coach, let's shift here. You know, we started this bold takes segment, and we're going to get a full episode of bold takes next week, over the next 2 weeks. The bold take was the SWAC will finish above 500 in FCS out of conference games next season.
Man, that would be great.
That'd be huge, massive.
That'd be great.
I got the schedule pulled up here, and we'll go week by week looking at the out of conference games. FAMU Norfolk State, and I'll keep a tally on my phone, and we'll get the record set. FAMU Norfolk State.
I got to go, fam.
Okay, I also agree there. I think FAM's there. So let me get this. So we got the SWAC at 1. We'll just put OOC. Got none yet. Going to week 1, there's a few. And listen, I'm excluding FBS games and I'm excluding D2 games. These are just FCS out of conference games. Scrolling through here, FAMU South Carolina State. If let's say this, so this doesn't, Coach, this does not lock you into your pick for the season.
Oh no.
We're going to preview this game. It just, if the game was played on Sunday, June 30th, tomorrow, who are you picking right now?
I have to go with FAM. They have a more established roster, and it's at home, so I got to go with FAM.
I'm going with FAM as of today too. Let's go Southern McNeese. I'm going McNeese. Yeah, I'm going McNeese personally right now. Until I see Southern beat McNeese, I can't go there.
Right.
Valley, Tennessee State. Tennessee State. So I'm keeping mine down. You can keep yours. I'm at 2-2 right now. I think you're at 2-2. Alabama State, North Carolina Central.
Again, with all the unknowns, I got to go Central. Coach Oliver. But this is a toss-up because they bring in a new trigger guy. We've talked about that several times. Neutral site game. I just think that Coach Oliver is going to have his troops ready. Not that Coach Rob won't, but more established coach in this situation, I got to go with them.
Yeah, I'm going with Central right now. That's a toss-up game for me. I might change my pick when we get to that preview, 2 months from now. But right now, I'm leaning Central just because of some question marks defensively for Bama State. Week 2, Mercer Bethune-Cookman.
On paper, everything says Cookman.
What paper are we looking at?
The hype machine.
Okay, that's fine.
Everything says Cookman. Everything says Cookman, but reality tells me, Mercer.
Yeah, I'm going Mercer there. I think that will be a closer game than it would have been last year, but
Yeah.
I still think Mercer reloaded in the portal, and that's going to be a really good team. Valley Lamar.
Lamar.
Okay, yeah. Prairie View Northwestern State. Coach, I'm going Prairie View here.
Yeah, everything in me wants to go Prairie View because of the situation in Northwestern State. That unfortunate situation there, new staff, late in the ball game again. So I got to go PV on this one.
So the SWAC is 3-5 for me. Same for
3 and
you
5 for
going
me.
into week 3. We're not counting conference opponents that are out of conference games, so you're not getting a win if you're Southern Jackson State for that game. You guys go ahead and schedule real out of conference opponents. Grambling State, Texas A&M Commerce. I'm going Grambling here.
Grambling better win this game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm going Grambling. Valley, Murray State. I'm going Murray State here.
Yeah, I can rock with you on that one.
Tennessee State, UAPB. I'm going Tennessee State on this one.
I got to go there too.
Alabama State, Sanford.
Sanford brings back that quarterback.
No, they don't. Hires is
They don't.
gone.
Hires is gone.
Yeah, Quincy Critterin, I think, is stepping in. He started the playoff game 2 years ago for them. I think Sanford has a lot of unknowns. I don't think Bama State goes 0-2 in Central Sanford. So since I gave Central that win, I'm gonna go Bama State in the shocking win over here.
I want to for conference pride, but again, the reason I gave Central that was because of the unknown pieces there, and that's going to be the reason that I go Sanford in this situation.
So you got 4-8 for you in the SWAC. Yep. I got 5-7. Let's go A&M versus Austin P. I'm going Austin P here.
Yeah.
Central Arkansas, UAPB. Any conversation why Central Arkansas is not going to win that game by 50?
Yeah, tell me about that one later.
Yeah. Alcorn State, McNeese, though.
Alcorn.
I got Alcorn too. That's 6-9. Valley, Nichols State. I got Nichols there.
Nichols is a lot better than people think.
Yeah, they won the conference last year in the playoffs.
It felt some depth.
Texas Southern, Lamar. I'm going Lamar there.
Yeah, too many unknowns at Texas Southern.
So you're at 5-12, and I'm at 6-11 right now for the SWAC going into week 5. Let's see, because the out-of-conference games are going to get tough now. No out-of-conference games in week 5. We got some late season ones. So, okay, here's the next one. Prairie View against Incarnate Word. I'm going Incarnate Word there, just personally.
And that's week
6, October
week 6.
5th.
Yeah, Prairie View should have it figured out by then. But if they don't, yeah, gotta go the other way.
Yeah, and then we come back to Prairie View, Coach. Week 9, Texas A&M Commerce versus PV.
Gotta go PV.
I like that one too. That one to me seems like it almost seems like a must win for the conference. I think that's it. Let me clear these last few weeks out. Yeah, that's it. So, Coach, I have the SWAC 7-12. in FCS out of conference games, you have the SWAC 6-13.
Let's hope I'm wrong.
Oh, we did miss one. That's right. Hang on. Let me go back. What week is that? That they played? Did I? How did I miss that? Oh yeah, here we go. I missed it on the 5th. I skipped over it. Nichols versus Southern.
Nichols.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So that's 7-13 for me, 6-14 for you.
And again, there's some toss-up games, I think.
Yeah, 50-50 games.
Yeah. If again, if Bama State gets it figured out, um, that first one out the box could be a game for our conference. If PV gets it figured out, that game can be that as well. So there's a few that are kind of lingering out there that I think could go either way.
Yeah. So not above 500 for either of us. I will say the for the SWAC to get above 500, I think you need Southern to win both the Nichols and the McNeese game.
Mm-hmm.
Both of which could be 50-50 in my opinion.
They've got to get that McNeese game for us to have a shot.
So that's 2. I think those Lamar games,
huge,
especially like the Texas Southern Lamar, Valley Lamar, gotta have one of those.
Yep.
You can't go winless against Lamar. The other Bama State needs to go 2-0, I think, with Central and Sanford. You got to get those. And I think both of those games are 50-50 games for me right now, just because of all the uncertainty surrounding Bama State right now.
And those are 50-50 games for me as well. Those 2 games for Bama State.
Oh, and then the other one. This is the biggest 50-50 game in my opinion. Bethune-Cookman and Mercer.
Yep.
If Bethune can sneak up on Mercer and get that win, you're talking about lingering right there close to 500 if Bama State does what they need to do and PV knocks off, maybe an Incarnate Word. That would be a big win for the SWAC if PV can catch Incarnate Word too.
And it would be huge for Cookman if they sneak up on that, which could cause a lot of problems for the teams in the East if Cookman gets that game early.
Yeah, but it's just the problem is it's hard to pick a team like Southern to beat McNeese when it's never happened, and Nichols is riding high off a conference championship, and they've been solid against the SWAC out of conference. And really and truly, the coach, we got to give it to you guys. You guys are the only reason that the SWAC has any confidence against McNeese right now.
And Northwestern State. But no, we I think the McNeese game for Southern, they've got to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that becomes a real big game for us as well. Northwestern, we got to be able to get those as a conference. We got to be able to get that game. And like I said, a couple of them are just, 50-50 games that, like we said, as we get closer to it, it may be the other way around. But right now, it's, those games are 50-50 for me in my mind.
So let's get some quick hitters to end the show, man. If you guys have any quick hitting questions that we'll cover over the next 10 minutes before we wrap this thing up, put them in the chat. If they're really good ones, like title topics that we can make a whole episode around, we're just going to move it to the next Saturday because we got a bunch of special guests coming on next week. So we probably won't do a midweek live show, but we got some interviews coming with you guys, coming for you guys next week. Coach, let's go here. Last play SDSU asked us, do we think Montana State will continue with the same run-heavy QB power option offense or try to develop Tommy Mellott into more of a balanced attack? Because it seems like every year, he said, Tommy seems to get run into the ground and get injured at the most inopportune times.
They're going to continue to do what they do. That's, to me, that's within the program walls. They continue to do what they do. They may take a little bit off of him, but I think they continue to do what they do because they are who they are, and they've been that for a while. So I don't think it changes.
I I personally don't either. I think even though they do have a new offensive coordinator, he's been around the program. I think he's going to keep the scheme relatively the same.
Mhm.
And I do think Timothy's convinced me because me and him have had this debate of like a few times already. I do think Montana State has more talent at wide receiver than maybe I was giving them credit for. I think the Arizona State transfer, Alexander, is good. They got a kid out of Colorado State, Tom McCullough. Taco Dowler comes back. Marquis Johnson. You got Javante King in the room. You go and add a really, really good tight end in Rohan Jones from Maine, who also, coach, I don't know if you're a tight end coach. Maybe you can let me know if Truck's going to do this. Rohan Jones returned kicks for Maine last year from the tight end position.
He can do it. He can do it. I think people are going to be really surprised with uh, how we implement some things in for him. But yeah, he's talented enough to do it. And shout out to you and the staff for the releases you've put out these past weeks with the top returning FCS guys. Great work.
Oh man, appreciate that. Yeah, I just don't see massive scheme. Like, coach, I get that he's been hurt and he's gotten injured and things like that, and maybe they pass marginally less. I don't see a significant change, but people got to remember this team, coach, last year they ran for 292 yards per game, averaged over 7 yards per carry, and had
That's what they do.
41 rushing touchdowns. And the year before that, in 2022, they ran for 310 yards per game, averaged over 6.5 yards per carry, and had almost 50 rushing touchdowns.
What they do.
How do you change that? I get that your quarterback's been getting hurt. Maybe you teach him how to slide, better protect himself, something like that. Maybe tell him to give it more often, incorporate a little bit more of a downfield attack to unload the box on them. But man, how do you average 300 yards rushing per game and be like, yeah, we got to change it?
Only way that changes is if the folks in the collar shirt change, meaning
Yep.
they're not there anymore, because it's what they do. That's their program. That's who they are. Uh, that's their calling card. So I don't think they change anything.
This is an interesting question, and I think I know the answer to this. Jay Minster, out of Sioux Falls asked us, will South Dakota State find a way for Chase Mason and Mark Gronowski to play at the same time this year?
No,
Now, Chase
unless they're
Mason,
blowing folks out.
yeah, backup quarterback at South Dakota State, has a lot of hype. Coach Mason's a prototypical size, man, 6'4", 230, and I heard he has a arm on him. Like the boy can spin it from what I'm hearing. The problem is efficiency may take a step down in terms of decision making, things like that right now. He's a younger player, but I just don't see
No, why
because
would you?
yeah, why would you? And I do think Mason is athletic enough to offer something. Coach, he saw action in 9 games last year. He ran for almost 200 and 2 touchdowns, completed 62% of his passes, 267 and a touchdown in limited action last year and in a reserve role. Gronowski is too talented to take off the field, obviously. And then South Dakota State has enough talent surrounding Gronowski at wide receiver, at tight end, at running back, that which weapon do you want to go stand on the sideline next to the guys in the collar shirt while Chase Mason's in the game?
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. So, Jay, I don't see it. Like Coach said, Chase Mason might see time if they're boat racing people, which is a possibility. I would not be surprised if Chase Mason plays in 10, 11 games this year because they're killing people and puts up good reserve role stats, but I don't see that. Man, there's so many good questions. We're gonna save the dark horse question for next episode.
I see one. You see, try again.
Let's see. Yeah, yeah. I was going through the tweet real quick. Get these. We're gonna James, we're gonna save your SoCon questions for the next show. Same with Timothy. Dustin, our guy, the Rev. He wants to
Rev.
know, he asked, are you hiring? Dustin, we got to get Dustin on we got to get him his own show or get him writing for the website, something like that. But he wants to know our thoughts on the future of the UAC. We've kind of talked about this a little bit. I just think it all kind of hinges on what happens with those other two Texas schools, right? And maybe
Yep.
like a Central Arkansas.
And does it make sense?
Yeah, if Tarleton leaves or if Abilene Christian leaves, I I don't know what the future necessarily holds unless you pull some of those top D2 schools out of Texas up, or maybe someone somewhere along on the East Coast, maybe, because then if you lose those two Texas schools, coach, you could shift the conference back into like the ASUN footprint, pull someone out of the state of Georgia. We've talked about West Florida as a potential candidate. Could you go pull some of those D2 schools from that Southeast region? But I think the future is much, it kind of hinges on Tarleton State and Abilene Christian. If they leave, the future gets a little bit murkier for me.
Yeah, because now you've got the logistics of travel, which everybody says is a huge deal because of the price tag that's attached to that. So, you can't say that you want to pull teams from the East Coast to come play in the Midwest Conference because that travel is going to become real, real tough.
Yeah, let me see. I started these questions in the chat, man. We got some really, really good ones. I want to. We'll do it now. This is a really good conversation. Let's go ahead and have it. I was going to make it a topic, but I'm kind of impatient on this one. I'm really interested to hear this. Jared Hoffman, shout out to my guy Jarrett. He reports for HBCU Sports Coach, Bowie State graduate. He wants to know.
What up?
He said HBCU players have accounted for 3 of the last 4 Buck Buchanan Award winners. What HBCU player do you think has the best chance of winning the award this season?
Well, my answer is going to be biased.
Go ahead. That's a good answer. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility, right?
Yeah. I just think that Bailey has the opportunity to really show up in these first 2 games on our schedule. I think that puts him in position to showcase, being that those 2 games are on television, gets him more publicity, and then I think he just becomes a consistent player. Well, he's become a consistent player. He's going to always be around that 8-10 mark in sacks and plus, tackle for losses. So I can see Malachi being one of those from the HBCU ranks to have a shot at that.
Yeah, I agree with you that Malachi Bailey's in that conversation. I think
Kid from Southern too.
Yeah, Shelby Givens is another one. Had 20-something tackles for loss last year for Southern. The other obvious one, I think, is Elijah Williams from Morgan State.
Mm-hmm.
Just an absolute. I mean, man, he's such a freak athlete, man, on the defensive line, and I think he's going to be able to cause a lot of issues if he gets into the right matchups this year. You look at Bailey, Givens, Elijah Williams. I think I'm trying to think of other names to throw into this conversation. I'm scrolling through here looking at returners. A good one, Eric Hunter at Morgan too. At linebacker, was a Buck Buchanan Award finalist last year. One of the final 2 for the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year. Was the highest graded linebacker in HBCU football, number 5 nationally among linebackers in Pro Football Focus grade. Secondary is so tough to win the Buck Buchanan. We've talked about this, but if you're gonna pick a secondary player, Kenny Gallup at Howard, reigning MEAC Defensive Player of the Year, Buck Buchanan Award finalist last year. I don't know what it. We've talked about this, coach, multiple times. Like, you're gonna have to put up like Rasheed Mathis stats with like
I was just
17
about to say,
interceptions in a year to
and you
win.
got to put those in the box.
Yeah, so those would probably be my picks there. A dark horse. God, it's tough to pick a dark horse. Obviously, I'll say James Ash, maybe for FAMU on the defensive line, would be someone to look at. I'm really big fan of him, watching his film.
The
Also,
kid from up the street. Um,
which
God
one?
dang it.
Because I had one in mind for Jackson.
Yeah.
As a McDaniel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to apologize. I'm like, Coach, I know you don't want to hear this, but Robert
As I said, a
McDaniel
kid
is,
from up the street. Yeah.
and I will say this, and I think our guy G, who writes for FCS Football Central from Draft HBCU, one of the top scouts at the East West Shrine Bowl, Robert McDaniel. I don't know if people are really talking about him enough. Is getting a lot of buzz for the NFL draft from scouts and coach. I'm sure you know this because he probably was getting it at Alcorn too. The scouts love Robert McDaniel and what he brings potentially to the next level. And there's a chance that if he had put together a good season, that he could earn an invite to the Senior Shrine Bowl, one of these big top all-star games, and you could hear his name called. He's balling. And I will say this too, Bowler from FAMU is another name. Let's not forget Kendall Bowler, who's been a solid
Yeah.
cornerback for the Rattlers. I'm trying to think. That's probably it. That'd probably be where I leave the list. Anyone else would be a long shot or be just come out of nowhere type player. For the SWAC, I'm trying. Is there anyone? Tennessee State. I don't think anyone at Tennessee State right now would be a candidate because Jalen Bell is probably their best defensive player, but it's going to be hard for a 3 tech to win the
Yeah. Unless
award.
he just
You
turns
got to
into
be an
Warren
edge
Sapp.
rusher. Yeah, and if he does that, we'll have another conversation on this show because I really, really like his game. Anyone in the CAA, coach, between A&T and Hampton, I just got too many question marks defensively for them. I don't see anyone. Maybe
Yeah.
Karan Prunty at corner for A&T would be the best
Again,
choice.
like you said though about that position though, we can not throw his direction and not have to worry about that kind of thing. So uh, unless he moves back to the safety and they just let him play, Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed type stuff, teams will probably control that if those guys become those type of guys.
Agreed. Now, let's get to these chat questions. We'll knock them out quickly and then we'll wrap this thing up. AP Music, does any SWAC team crack the FCS top 25 this year?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. There's going to have to be, because I'll say this, if Jackson beats ULM, I would expect to probably see them at least get some votes. And then, coach, their schedule over the next handful of weeks is pretty easy.
Gives them a chance to stack
They're
wins.
probably going to be sitting at about 5 or 6-0. Jackson would be in there. I think I'm trying. If FAM rules off some wins, I wouldn't be surprised to see FAM potentially sneak into the top 25 at one point. Alcorn late in the season if they put it together like me and coach have talked about. But that's probably where I would leave it. Now, Bama State has an interesting opportunity. If they beat Central, they go and beat Stanford, they knock off FAMU in that mid-October range. I could see Bama State sneaking in there if they put everything in terms of the hype train together. But I would say those teams would probably have the best opportunity to be ranked. M1 wants to know, does another team leave the CAA in the near future? Right now, coach, no. I talked a little bit about William and Mary potentially leaving, but they've reaffirmed their commitment to the conference. And I'd be very, very surprised if anyone left now, unless it was to go FBS, which I don't know if there's an opportunity right now for a team to make that jump to the FBS.
Yeah, and I don't think that would come until probably later in the game. Once I think they sit back and they see some success from the teams that just made the move, like Delaware or whatever. Then I think that becomes a real conversation at the end of the season going into next year.
Yeah. Try again wants to know, will Howard repeat? If I had to make a prediction, no, right now.
No, too many holes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of questions up front, which was part of their strong suit. So if they get those questions answered, who knows? But right now, I'm with you. I'd say no.
I give them the third best odds right now, just behind Morgan and Central.
Okay, I was about to say third. Okay, I got you.
I would say Morgan and Central are kind of 1A, 1B for me right now. Howard right there behind them.
Okay.
He also wants to know, will Murray State be better this year? Listen, first year head coach, they are still in the MVFC, so
Tough.
it's going to be a brutal conference because they just have so many question marks. I think
Hmm.
just on both sides of the ball. I mean, what was their record last? I mean, I don't remember what they finished. I think they finished with like what 2 or 3 wins
I think it was 3
potentially.
wins. Yep.
Yeah, I'm pulling up their schedule right now. Let's see. They returned a good bit of talent on the offensive line. Northington at running back solid. You return a good tight end, Caden Jumper. Defense, they got a lot of returning talent though, coach. It's just can they put the offense together? That's the question mark for me because defensively they return a lot of talent. Williford at cornerback, CJ Barnes at defensive end, Reed at safety, Shepard at defensive end, Kenyon Walker and Chris Hill both come back at safety. Collins and Johnson both played over 300 snaps at corner last year for Murray State. That it's just a question mark of can they get the offense back on track? Because you
Yep.
also got
Cut
to
down
think
on the
that
turnovers.
yes, turn down the turnovers, but they also lost. They lost Eric Phoenix, who obviously didn't play much for them. They lost their other starting quarterback. They went 2-9 last year, coach. One of their wins was over Presbyterian, not even a scholarship school, and their other one was over Indiana State. So it's just
Without
they
Larry
just
Bird.
they just got a brutal schedule. Like I'm looking here. So coach, they open up the season on the road at Missouri. That's a loss. Now they play Butler, probably a win. That's a win.
It better
They
be.
play they play Valley at home, a win. We've both said so. That's 2. They got back to 2, but then you get into conference play. You got at North Dakota, South Dakota, at Indiana State, which is probably a winnable game. You could probably get Indiana State, so that might be 3. You play Illinois State, who's a top 25 team. Then you get North Dakota State at South Dakota State, Missouri State at Kentucky in the
Just trying to
SEC,
survive. You're just trying to survive at that point.
and then you round it off with at Southern Illinois.
Yeah. Survive.
Yeah, so I think Murray State might be marginally better as a team, but I think 3 wins, coach, is probably what you're looking at. Maybe 4 if you pull like a
At best.
shocking upset. That would be my prediction for them, coach. This will be an interesting one for you. I want to see how biased you are in this question. Our guy, them boys asked yards per game prediction for Prairie View's offense next year. Now, new offensive coordinator, Anthony Whedon, who has been one of the top play callers in the CAA. Let me pull up the SWAC stats, coach. I'll give you kind of like a baseline to go off of. So last year, in terms of total offense, PV ranked 7th in the SWAC with 336 yards per game. They averaged 5.5 yards per play, 28 offensive touchdowns. In terms of, they were 4th in the conference in rushing with 160 per game, and they ranked 9th in the conference in passing offense with only 176 per game.
I'm not going to put a total to it. I'm just going to say it'll be less. And I'm saying less because of the quarterback situation. You are essentially replacing a guy that was a 5-year starter for you with a new coordinator. So I'm saying it's going to be less than last year.
Okay, so I have a hard time saying more because of the quarterback, like you said. But they do return a lot of talent at wide receiver. Spiller's back. Simmons is back. Savage is back. Metcalf, Heron, Kobe Cavill. All those guys are back for them. It's just quarterback. They return Chance Jones at guard, Jalen Cooper at tackle, Stephen Thomas at tackle. It's all quarterback for me. And also, let's not forget running back because they had 2 of the better running backs in the conference as well. It's just, I think it's going to be about the same just because I do believe in Anthony Whedon's play calling. So obviously somewhere around the same. So what did I say they did last year? They put up 336. So let's do this, coach. I'm assuming you're going to go under. Let's just put the over under at 350 yards per game.
Under.
I'm gonna say over slightly. I think they're gonna average somewhere between 350 and like 360 per game. I think that's doable. I think they have the talent at wide receiver. They are really hype about the quarterback from Houston they got. The kid's got no film though. It's kind of a shot in the dark. I'm not going to go out and on a limb and say he's going to be the best quarterback in the conference, but I do think that Anthony Whedon's a good enough play caller. They do return enough talent on the offensive line and wide receiving core to get to that. Alexis asked, Coach, which team in the SWAC East and West has the best chance to go undefeated in the conference?
The East.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh, God.
We talked about some of those schedules earlier in the show. I just, Sam, to me, they don't have enough at the house to hold that up. Another bold prediction: Cookman.
Oh, God. Okay. You see, so here's where I'm at. I don't think it's fam with those road games at Bama State and at Jackson. I don't think it's Bama State. Just because of the unknowns, but their schedule's set up the best to go undefeated out of those top three teams. So they get Jackson and Fam at home. They get Alcorn at a neutral site. Because if I had to pick a team that I think could go undefeated just based off talent alone, I think it's Jackson. But what scares me is I don't know if they can go 2-0 in that road stretch with Bama State, Alcorn State at the end of the year. Jackson could go into those games almost undefeated, depending on what happens with ULM, because their schedule's built like that. But I just don't see them winning both of those road games. So really and truly, if I had to pick, if I had to say it, I don't think any team in the East has a chance to go undefeated in conference. Like I just don't see that those top three teams are way, way too good to all escape without a blemish. And then you got the Bethune-Cookman factor of being that sleeper team that's going to catch somebody. Because just based on the schedule and having those big games at home, I think the best shot to go undefeated, if I had gone to my head, I had to pick, would be Bama State.
And I could go with that.
Just because of the schedule. Now, Jackson has the talent to do it. I just don't think Jackson wins both those road games.
You know, and like I said, I'm completely riding the Cookman hype train.
I see that.
They have some crucial games in Daytona, and I know that's a tough travel for any team that comes in there. Even though it's Daytona, it's
Yeah.
probably a tougher travel than the reservation just because. So that's why I picked them. They've got some favorable matchups at home. The hype train is on 1,000. It looks good on paper. We'll see if all those names show up here in the next couple of weeks and are there during the summer and actually make it to the season. But right now, the hype train says, to me, Cookman is set up, but it could go either way.
And I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't think anyone in the West realistically goes undefeated in conference play with how things are shaped.
If we get past Grambling, we have the opportunity.
Yes, that's where I was going. The
Yeah.
only reason I say Alcorn is because I do think they're the best team in that division. But, man, that Grambling game terrifies me. That's a long streak.
Let me put you at ease, B. We got it.
Okay, so I'm going to say Alcorn. I think if you had to go second, it's just tough. PV's got question marks. Grambling's got question marks. Southern, it has questions. So I don't know who would be second, but I do think Alcorn if I had to pick someone. But I think it's – let me ask you this, Coach. This will be a good follow-up for this. Which division is more likely to have an undefeated champion, the East or the West?
The West.
Oh, okay.
The West, because of all the reasons you just said for those East teams.
They're too good at the top.
Yeah, they are senior heavy teams. So they have a lot of experience. Um, so I think it's going to be one of those deals where it was like the old NFC East, where everybody just knocks each other off. That's what I think happens over in the East. The West, there's just so many unknowns. But I think when you break down the rosters, the nucleus that we have is more intact than the nucleus from the other 2 to 3 contenders when you look at it top to bottom. So that's my reasoning for that. Not just that I get my check from Alcorn, but that doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, I'm going East just because at the end of the day, you got to be a good team to go. Like, you got to be the best team in the conference to go undefeated. And I think that team would probably be coming from the East right now. I get it. It's more competitive because if everything clicks for Jackson, Bama State, or FAMU,
hmm
they could get out of there undefeated if it all clicked together. Because you can say the East was probably top heavy the past 2 years, but the 2 best teams have been from that division. And you've seen teams get out of there undefeated. I think it can happen. But if I had to say, like I said, I'll reiterate, I don't think anyone's going undefeated in conference this year in the SWAC. But if I had to pick a team to do it, it's probably coming from the East. But I get your
Yeah.
argument because it's the West is not as deep, has a lot more question marks. So if it clicks for somebody, they
Mhm.
can make a run. And I really do think if this situation was really to happen, it would kind of come down to those cross division games and who had the easier cross division games to play.
And then that goes back to knowing what game is a freaking conference game and what game isn't a conference game
I hate it.
kind
I
of
hate it
thing.
so
So,
much.
you know,
So Daryl Smith, and this one's going to be interesting to talk about. He said the body height, Andrew Body. What does it mean for him if he is not successful this year?
what does it mean for him? Um, I think that puts more, I don't want to say pressure. I think that puts more emphasis on what he does in front of the pro scouts. And I know this is way down the line,
Yeah.
but I think that, now you've got to really, really throw well and run well and just have good conversations with those people. So I think that's the deal. Now I'm going to go out and say that the talent is there. I just think the last couple years, the injury bug just hadn't been kind to him. So I think that's one of the things that he's gotta beat, and from there, I think everything else just kind of takes care of itself. But it comes down to the end of it. What does he do in front of those people?
Yeah. Now, I will say, Daryl, it kind of depends on are you ask like if you how you define successful. Are you defining this as team success or personal success? Because I think those are 2 very fundamental different conversations. Just because if Body goes out there and throws for 4,000 yards and has a great year, it's up for SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, but Bama State's defense didn't replace the guys we think they did, and their defense can't stop nobody, and they lose a handful of games. And coaches, they're sitting there, 7-4 or 7-5. I guess they got 12 games. They're 7-5, but Body had an amazing year. Is he still going to get the criticism that he
Oh, ain't no
got for
doubt.
Texas Southern not winning? So that's the conversation that I'm more interested in. Now, if Body just goes out there and plays bad, then I mean, I don't think knowing the bodies, knowing Andrew, I don't think they would back down from it. I think Andrew would be the first one to tell you he didn't play well. But if he plays well and the team doesn't perform well, I do think because he's the quarterback, it's going to get pinned on him. And then we get into this conversation of is Andrew's going to have to fight off this narrative of great quarterback, but not proven winner.
Oh, that's going to come. I mean, that conversation's already on us within the chat rooms and things like that. That's going to come.
Yeah.
The only thing that stops that, I think, is if he wins Player of the Year and they win the conference. Um, and even then, it's still going to be questions. But that's just the way, that's just human nature. That's just the way it is.
So let me ask you, Coach, as an opposing coach who has played against Andrew, and this is a good follow up to this. using stats, what does a successful year for Andrew look like?
Okay, using stats, meaning he stayed healthy.
Yes, played
Um,
all
I
12 games, and
he's better than 55% on his throws. Um, the yardage to me is dependent upon what he has outside. So if he gets, in the 2000 range, more touchdowns than INTs, and
yep,
just makes great decisions within those stats, I think that's, 55%, 2K plus, 14, 15 TDs, 4 or 5 picks. I think that's a successful year for him, for anybody really.
it's hard to quantify, like you said, Coach, because it depends on what he has on the outside, and like if he, and let's just be honest, the different, like, are you taking, like, if so, let me ask you this: if Body throws for, let's say, 2,500 yards,
Less than 25?
no, just say, let's say around 2,500 yards,
Okay, okay.
only 20 touchdowns, but they win the conference. Is that more impressive than him throwing for like 3,500 yards, 30 something touchdowns, but they don't make the conference championship game?
I think it's more impressive because you want to be in that championship quarterback conversation.
Right.
I think it's position. You don't escape that with a position. With that position, you don't escape that talk. It comes down to, can you get your team to the championship game? And I
Mm,
think that's one of the deals. If you look back over football history, the knock on John Elway was that they couldn't win the Super Bowl. And then once he won the Super Bowl, I think that's when it became, okay, yeah, John's that guy. Same thing with
yeah.
Steve. Steve,
Did we lose Coach? I think we
God dang it.
Steve Young.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now. I wasn't sure if it
Okay.
was me or you. You're good. Steve Young.
Okay. Yeah, Steve Young. And then it became that Steve Young was a guy. But he was a guy the whole
Right.
time until he won the Super Bowl.
I will say, if I had to put a stat on it, let's just say, because like D said, let's just use stats. Oh, just me personally. I'm a little bit tougher, I guess, Coach, because I've seen him do a lot of the stuff that you're talking about. I want him to, for me, a successful season is completing over 65% of his passes, over 2,800 passing yards, and we need to get over 20 touchdowns passing.
I can dig it.
That's kind of where I want him passing, and then I would say over 500 rushing yards and make a run at 10 rushing touchdowns because he's
That
a
puts
dual
him in
threat
the
guy.
yeah, and that puts him in the conversation of player
Yeah,
of the year,
and I think that's the expectation, not just for us, but for him, his
player of the
family
year.
is like he's got to be in that conversation to have a good year. And I think anything less than that would be a disappointing year for him and everyone. So that's kind of where I would put it. Um, it's gonna be a crucial year for him. I'm gonna put it like that. This is a good question. We're gonna probably do this on the next episode in one. Does the MEAC have a 500 or better record against the CAA? That's going to be such a good question. We'll probably move that to the next episode so we can go through the schedule and actually break that down like we did the SWAC today. But man, we're gonna cut it off here. If we didn't get to your question today, we're getting to it next Saturday. Man, we got some interviews coming up next week. Go ahead, man.
I know.
Oh,
We
that's right.
cut
I
it
forgot
off.
about the new segment.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Oh man, he freezes with his new segment.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You just frozen on camera. So go ahead.
Okay, it just came back or whatever. Keep or delete. New
Okay.
segment that we're gonna have every week for you. We'll come up with a graphic. Well, you'll come up with a graphic because you're a lot better than I am with that. So keep or delete. All right, we got 10 keep or deletes. We're gonna ease
Oh
you
Lord.
into it, and then we're gonna go from there. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead, man. And just for people in the chat that I don't even know what this segment is, what he's going to ask. So just bear with me too as I consider what he's about to ask.
Like I said, we're gonna ease into it. Keep or delete. Yankees, Mets.
So I got to pick one to keep and one to delete.
Yep.
Keep the Yankees.
iPhone, Android.
Man, if I text you in this green, block for sure.
Coffee or tea.
Probably tea. Listen, that's probably the weirdest thing about me. I don't think I've drank coffee since probably high school. Yeah, I'm not a coffee person, man. Like I'm really not a
Okay.
coffee person.
Okay, you're keeping tea, deleting coffee. All right. Uh, SWAC or MEAC football.
Oh. Oh God. Keep SWAC.
Keeping SWAC, deleting MEAC. All right. Idaho State football.
Keep Idaho, bro. Get rid of the Beagles.
Southern Baton Rouge, school up the street.
Oh God. Southern or Jackson? God. Let me keep. I'm gonna keep Jackson. I'll keep Jackson.
All right. South Dakota State, North Dakota State.
Okay. Oh, let me reason with you on this one. Oh God. I want to say because of the history to keep North Dakota State, but listen, the South Dakota State fans literally support the show so much, and they are literally the nicest people on earth. I swear, like man, when I went up to the Montana State tailgate, nicest people ever. And man, I mean, you met them at the national title game, man. South Dakota State people are the best. I'm gonna keep the Jacks, man. We'll get rid of the Bison. We'll send them up to FBS.
All right. Mississippi or Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. Listen, so the funny thing is, so people don't know, my girl is from Mississippi. She was born. Her family lives in Mississippi, and I tell her Mississippi is just Alabama without the nice beaches.
The
Mississippi
clear
is just,
water.
yeah, Mississippi is just if you took all the good things out of Alabama and moved a little bit west. That's all Mississippi is. I mess with her all the time about that.
Keeping Alabama.
For sure.
Grits with butter or grits with sugar.
Mm.
This shouldn't be a question. Right?
No, I eat them. Like, here's the thing: is I can eat it both ways. Like, I don't mind. Like, if you put butter in the grits, that's cool. You put sugar, that's fine. Like, I'll either one. If I had to delete one, I'll probably delete the sugar.
Thank you. Okay. Last one, brother. Think about it. Mardi Gras in Mobile or Mardi Gras
Oh,
in New Orleans. Keep or
easy,
delete.
easy. Mardi Gras Mobile, man. We started it. We started it. Listen, here's what I tell people. Okay, here's the distinction between the Mardi Gras. If you
Break
want
it down.
if you want to go to Mardi Gras and like really party and not remember that and like not remember the next day, go to New Orleans. If you want to go to Mardi Gras and enjoy yourself and have like a family experience, fun experience, relaxed experience, go enjoy Mardi Gras in Mobile. That's the difference. That's the difference. All New Orleans did is take Mardi Gras and make it
Uh-huh.
blackout proof. Like they did just made it a blackout party. That's all the difference is. They made it crowded and more alcohol. That's the only difference between the two Mardi Gras. And they added like 500 floats to their parades for some reason. Like, coach, who wants to stand outside for 7.5 hours and watch float number 475 come past? Come on, man. But no, actually, coach, I like people don't know this. Like, even though I grew up in Mobile, man, we used to make weekend trips to New Orleans all the time. And like, if I got to pick a city to move to, man, I'd move to New Orleans so quick. Man, I love going to New Orleans. That's
Mm,
why I hope the Legacy Bowl never moves, man. I love spending a week in New Orleans because let me say this: this debate, like I've heard the debate of like seafood, and like some people in like the Northeast region talking about how good
mhm.
their seafood is. Man, come on, come on. I'm not taking any seafood opinions from someone who has not eaten seafood in New Orleans or on the Gulf Coast. Don't talk to me if you have not eaten seafood in New Orleans, because if you haven't, your opinion does not matter.
Well, 11, keep or delete seafood from Florida or seafood from New Orleans. Think about this.
New Orleans.
Think about this. You answered too quick. You didn't think about it.
I don't have to think about it. It's New Orleans, and it's a wrap. You got to think, Coach. Half of Florida, the panhandle of Florida, is just Alabama. So it's no different than Alabama seafood. The panhandle is literally Alabama.
I got to get you down deeper. You're right. I got to get you past Tallahassee. I got to get you past Tallahassee. You see, the seafood down in Miami, the Key West, you hadn't had that. But I got you.
Look. Here we go. Jordan said, "Coach, I'm from Florida. I'm going to NOLA. He's leaving Florida to go to NOLA to get him some seafood."
No, man.
Coach, you got to think. My family's from Tampa. My mom was born in Tampa. My uncles were born in Tampa. Like, listen, it's not the same.
I think that's why I'm feeling the disappointment in your answer.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Listen, man, New Orleans food, like, I'm sorry, like New Orleans, if it wasn't, think about this, Coach, if New Orleans wasn't so hot and humid, it would be the most obese city in the entire world. The only reason it's not is because after you eat the seafood, you walk outside for 2 minutes in June and you melt. And all those calories are burned walking back to the car because it's 190 degrees, like 200 days out of the year. That's the only reason. Thank you, Jordan. It's the seasoning. It is the seasoning. It's the flavor. It's all that. It's all that. Coach, it's New Orleans, and it's not even a conversation.
I'm not talking like coast. I'm not talking gumbo. I'm not talking jambalaya. I'm talking about
what kind of food are you talking?
And I'm not talking crawfish. I'm talking crab. I'm talking lobster. I'm talking that type. Now, crawfish, I'll admit, I never ate crawfish before I came to Mississippi. We don't do it. We do blue crabs. We do, here lately in the Florida region, the area, they've started to do crawfish. But let's just be honest, B. Do you really have all day to sit there to get that much meat out of a crawfish when you can just get the crab and blah, blah, blah and be good? I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Coach, okay, so you're exposing yourself on live stream. And there's a lot of people tuned in right now. This might be the most highly debated topic in the chat. If you know how to eat crawfish, it doesn't take you that long to eat each one.
You have to peel it out of the tail. You got to crack. I mean,
it's second nature, though. It's second nature.
I guess you're right. Growing up with it, because that's the same way we were with the blue crab. We crack it in half. Boom, 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 and we're ready to go.
Okay, yeah.
I get it. I get what you're saying. I'm not saying it's just trash. I'm just saying that I think once you get to that area, it's all the Gulf. But once you start to get down, Tampa, Miami, Key West, come on around the other side. Now you got the Palm Beaches, Fort Lauderdale. I just think the seasoning, it just changes. It could be as hot as you want it. It could be mild. It could be in the middle. I mean, I still think I got to get you there. I wish somebody would set up a bowl game or a classic in Florida so I could get you there and we could actually do that. But I'm gonna get you right though.
I don't know. So let me say this. You got to think. 27 right now. So I was in college. So I don't think you understand. I didn't have lobster money when I traveled. So I don't know who you thought was buying lobster for me when we traveled. So guess I eat a lot of crawfish, shrimp, oysters. Now listen, there's no conversation. The best char-grilled oysters are in New Orleans and on the coast.
Oh man.
I'm just saying, but I don't know who you thought in college had lobster money and in high school had lobster money.
Oh man!
So that's just a whole nother conversation we got to have because I need to know who was paying for you to eat lobster while you were in college.
No, man, it wasn't an everyday eat, man. It wasn't. It ain't an everyday eat now, but every now and then you gotta treat yourself to some of the finer things, man. Surf and
I feel you.
turf. You know what I
I feel
mean?
you.
How do you cook
I,
your steak?
oh, medium rare and rare in some places.
Okay, cool. I don't
Yeah.
have to just hang up right now. I thought you were
No.
gonna say done or something well done. Then it was gonna be an issue. But yeah,
No.
okay, we're good.
Yeah,
We
and
good. We
that's
good.
what I'm saying, Coach. I don't know because this was a big thing with me and Scotty when we were down for the Legacy Bowl. Scotty won't eat oysters, and
Oh,
me
I'm
and
eating them all day.
me and Smash Time were trying to get him to try the char grilled oysters in New Orleans, and I was like, bro, you are missing out if you don't get some char grilled
Missing,
oysters in New Orleans.
missing. But
I,
I can do them on the cracker raw with the hot sauce. I can do that. But the charcoal with the cheese, uh, I think Dragos and Jackson has it where in their deal they got like I want to say maybe bacon bits in
yeah,
there. I mean it's right. It's right.
yeah. That's now the Dragos in New Orleans, the one that's in the bottom of the Hilton. Boy, yeah,
I haven't tried that one.
different.
I go to New Orleans. It's right off of Canal. It's a really good seafood place. God dang it. And they gave you so much. And we ordered a
Yeah,
seafood tower like a piece, and it was just like it was too much food. Oh man, I wish I knew the name of that place, but yeah, that's good. But yeah, I got to get you right, man. But you're halfway there. You did say medium, so I'm good with that on the steak. I'm good with you on that.
yeah. Dragos is from New Orleans. I think that was the original one. The one over there is what that it's really really. That's for the first time I had oysters was over there, and then Acme's really good. There's an
Oh man,
Acme.
and Baton Rouge, I had
Yeah.
Acme. Yeah,
There's one in Gulf Shores, like on the beachfront in Alabama. It's
really. I didn't know.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we got an
okay.
Acme over here. And then there's one place, Bluegill in Mobile, man, on the Bayway. Woo, yeah, that's the
Oh
place.
yeah.
And then
Okay.
Wintzell's in Mobile.
Okay. So
Wintzell's in
I got
Mobile.
the next okay. So I got the next keep or delete topic coming for the next show. Okay. We good.
Yeah,
We
for
getting you there.
sure.
We getting you there.
But man, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Man, we took 30 minutes to talk about food
My bad.
Listen, I want you guys to put in the comments if you're rewatching the replay, if you're in the chat, man, let Coach settle this debate for me because I definitely know that. And thank you, Zoe. Wintzell's is the truth in Mobile, and same for mud bugs in Mobile. If you need seafood, mud bugs and Wintzell's different.
Okay.
It's
Mud
different.
bugs and whistles. Okay. I know you try those. Okay.
Yes, but man, let Coach know which. We'll just say
Deanies.
state.
Deanies. Deanies in New Orleans. That's the name of the place. Deanies.
Okay, who has better food, Southern Florida or Central Florida or New
Mhm.
Orleans? Put in the comments who has the best food, NOLA
This is
or
biased,
Central
man, because
Florida.
our fan base is. I need y'all to really be clear your
Saying
minds.
that
I need
there's
you
no need to clear the minds. We all know what the answer is. We all
clear
know.
your minds. Be
Everybody
logic.
but
Let's think
you,
about this.
anybody but you knows that that's the coach.
But we can
Knows the
get
answer.
you can get so much more. I'm talking about you can get the Caribbean, you can get the seafood, you can get all of that, man, right
Okay,
there.
this and we got to end this, man. We're almost 2 hours into this. Um, Mississippi has the best catfish, in my opinion, though.
I'll I'll rock with it. Now, the usage of the catfish I have a problem with, but for the most part, I'm
Yeah,
I'm a rock with it. And then if you know me, then you know what I'm saying when I say the usage of the catfish. But that's a whole nother
mhm.
topic. That's going to be for a another show as well. So another keep or delete.
There's a lot of Nolas in the chat, by the way. There's a handful of Floridas, but there's a lot of Nolas in the chat, man. But listen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll be back next week. We got multiple interviews. We got a live stream next Saturday. Y'all enjoy y'all's 4th of July next week, man. If you get off work, but man, for Coach, for myself, for the Blue Bloods FCS Football Central, man, we are out.